Chapter 4. The Deal. Tyler put his hands on my waist and pulled me closer to him. I could feel his entire body press up against mine. Thinking it was now time to end this, I broke the kiss and pulled away from him, creating a few distance between us. Tyler was looking at me, an arrogant smirk on his lips. "Well, what do we have here?" Tyler said. "I know you couldn't resist me, sweet cheeks, but next time give me a warning first. I'll be happy to oblige anytime." He winked at me. "Yes, I know. You want me," he responded smugly. Before I could respond, I heard a locker door slam loudly. I turned around in that direction to see Logan storming away. I smiled. Mission accomplished. Tyler followed my line of vision and then chuckled. "Ah, I see. Putting on a show for your boyfriend?" he asked. Now that Logan had left, I step away from Tyler completely and cross my arms. He is not my boyfriend anymore, and yes, I want him to think that I have moved on. He lifted his brow in amusement. "So, you used me?" I searched his face. He didn't look offended at all. In fact, he seemed to be enjoying himself. "Yes, because you were here," I said, then added. "And now I regret it, because you are nothing more than an arrogant jerk. Now if you'll excuse me, I have to go. This was a bad idea. I'm sorry, it won't happen again." "It's okay, I don't mind. You can use me anytime." He smirked. "Don't hesitate to ask." I make up my face in disgust. "You're disgusting. Just forget I kissed you," I said, before turning away from him completely and walk away. I don't know why I decided to kiss him. God, what was I thinking? Now, I know it was a very bad idea. Shaking all thoughts of Tyler from my head, I left the school and head home. "So, you just walked up to him and kissed him?" Tori asked me at school the following day. We were in our homeroom sitting down and waiting for the bell to ring. "Yep," I confirmed. As soon as I got to school, I told Tori about what I did yesterday. To say she was surprised was an understatement. "Wow, you must really want Logan to get lost," Tori surmised in a tone of surprise. Tori and I have been best friends from freshman year, so she knew me well. She knew I would never do something so impulsive without a motive. "So, what did Logan do?" "He stormed away," I replied, feeling a small bit of satisfaction. Tori smiled. "Serves him right. Hopefully, he will stop bothering you now." I nodded my head in agreement. We were silent for a while, until Tori spoke again. "What was it like kissing a boy like Tyler?" I looked up at her, surprised by her question. She saw my look and quickly held up her hands in defense. "I'm just curious." "Well, not that I was paying much attention, he was actually a great kisser," I answer after thinking about it. "Wow, who would have thought?" I just shrug. Certainly not me, because I've never thought about Tyler in that way before. The bell rang shortly after and Mrs. Hilton came and roll call began. Today was one of those days that dragged on, and when school finally ended, I was glad for the end of the long day. However, I didn't feel like going home as yet, so I went to a coffee shop that was a few miles away from school. This is the closest coffee shop to our school, so a lot of students from our school will hang out here. So I wasn't surprised when I saw a few students here now, especially that today was Friday. I ordered a cappuccino and a slice of apple pie and took a seat in an empty booth. I don't know why, but I was craving apple pie. I guess craving sweet was part of the heartbreak process. I had just finished eating and took out my phone to check my social media, when someone slid into the seat in front of me. I looked to see who the person was and scowled. "Are you following me now?" Tyler chuckled lightly. "Of course not." I shake my head and went back to my phone, ignoring him. "You know, I was trying to figure out where I know you from, and when I got home yesterday, I figured it out," he continued. "You're the girl that lives next door to me." I put my phone down on the table. Chapter 5. Let the games begin. The weekend went by and now it was Sunday evening. I was sitting up in bed reading one of my favorite books, The Hunger Games. I can't count how many times I've read it. I was so indulged in the book, that I hadn't heard the soft tap on my window at first. When I hear the second tap, I put the book down and listen. After a while, I hear it again. Yep, I definitely wasn't imagining things. I rest the book on my bedside table and got off the bed. I went over to my window and opened the curtains. I slide the window pane up and look out. Tyler was sitting on his windowsill, looking as comfortable as ever. He had a few pebbles in his hands. Were you planning on breaking my window? I ask. No, I didn't hit it that hard. He shrugged his shoulders as if it was nothing. What do you want? I ask, getting to the point. I just wanted to tell you that I'll be waiting for you tomorrow to drive you to school. He said. I scrunch up my eyebrows in confusion. Why? We are supposed to be dating, remember? He reminded. A boyfriend is supposed to drive his girlfriend to school. To be honest, I thought that he had changed his mind. I hadn't heard from him all weekend, so I thought that he finally came to his senses, realized that this whole dating thing was absurd and called the deal off. I guess I was wrong. Okay, whatever. I responded. Good. With that, he jumped down off the windowsill and into his room. Without saying another word, he closed his window and he disappeared from sight. I close my window as well and pull the curtains close. I got back in bed and took up my book. I had just started reading again, when there was a knock on my door. Come in, I answered. My room door was opened, revealing my dad. Hi, sweetheart. Oh hey Dad, what's up? I rest the book on bed beside me and cross my feet under me. Dad walked over to my bed and sat down. It's been a while since we've talked. How's school? He asked. School. I answered with a grin. Dad chuckled. Okay then. He was quiet for a moment, then he said. I was thinking that you and Sarah should go shopping next week. What do you say? I smile. Of course, Dad. I would love that. I answered honestly. Dad looked at me and smiled with gratitude. I know he knew that Sarah and I didn't talk much and he wanted us to bond. Thanks, sweetheart. He patted my foot and began to get up from my bed, when his eyes caught something. Why did you throw away that? I thought you loved that picture? He asked, indicating a picture of Logan and I that was now crumbled and in the wastebasket. He was right. I did love that picture. It was my favorite picture of Logan and I. We had took it when we went to the amusement park 4 months ago. In this picture, we were both making silly faces. We broke up, I said in a quiet voice. Dad turned his head to look at me. His eyes showed surprise. Why? What happened? I brought my knees up to my chin and hugged them. He was cheating on me. Our relationship was based on lies. I tried to sound nonchalant, but every time I remember what he did to me, I felt hurt and angry. Are you okay? Dad asked quietly. I looked at my father and I could see sadness in his eyes. His eyes never left mine as he waited for my response. He has always hated when I was hurt or sad. I smiled to relieve his worry. I'll be fine. His mouth stretched into a smile of his own. Good, because no boy is worth your tears, okay? I nodded my head. Okay, that's my girl. He got up and kissed me on my forehead. Good night, kiddo. I love you. I love you too, Dad. I replied. He gave me one last smile, before leaving my room, closing the door behind him. As planned, Tyler's car was parked outside waiting for me when I got out in the morning. I went over to his car and got in the passenger seat. He was inside waiting for me. I closed the door and he started the engine, while I put on my seatbelt. So, we haven't talked about how we are going to pull this off. What's the plan? I said, when he pulled out onto the Roa. Chapter 6. Seal with a kiss. Lunch went by and surprisingly, I have to admit, it wasn't as bad as expected. Now, Tyler and I was walking to our next class. We both have English class together, so we had parted ways with Seth and Tori. We had just reached the door of our classroom, when Tyler spoke. I forgot to mention that you're coming over to my house later today. I stopped in my tracks and turned to face him. I lifted my eyebrows curiously. Why? Tyler rubbed the back of his neck, which was uncharacteristic of him. Over the weekend, my mother, for the 100th time, was lecturing me about my ways. He rolled his eyes at that. So I told her that I had a girlfriend. She got all happy and excited and said that I should bring you over for dinner. My eyes widened a little. The last thing I wanted was to meet Tyler's mother as his fake girlfriend. That would definitely be awkward. However, a deal was a deal, and part of my deal was to pretend to date Tyler for his mother's sake. Trying my best not to show how nervous I am about the whole thing, I nodded my head. Okay. He grinned at me. Good. He suddenly looked over my shoulder and then back towards me. He brought his head close to mine, so that when he spoke his breath brushed lightly against my cheek. I think we should kiss, he said in a hushed tone. I looked at him in horror, not sure if I heard him correctly. What? I said we should kiss, Tyler repeated, as if it was a normal thing. I gave him a look. Yeah, I heard you the first time. Why should we do that? There's no way I'm going to kiss Tyler again. People are watching us. And if you look at it, since they know we are dating, they have never seen us kiss before. We have to make this as believable as we can, Tyler reasoned. I look around me and realize that he was right. We still had a few minutes before the bell rang, so a few students were hanging out on the corridors. Even though they were doing their own things, they still look in our direction now and then. I knew he was making sense, but I wish he wasn't. If Tyler and I were really dating, it was natural for us to kiss. I had just never thought of it before. Great. Now I regret agreeing to this in the first place. I took a deep sigh. In any case, he was right. Okay, fine. He grinned at me, before putting his hands around my waist and pull me closer. Getting into the act too, I brought my hands up and hooked it around his neck. It's showtime, Tyler whispered, before bringing his lips down to mine. The kiss started out slow and light for a few seconds, before he thrust his tongue inside my mouth and deepened the kiss. Kissing Tyler reminded me of when I kissed him the first time. 1. He tasted of mint and cigar, and 2. He was a really, damn good kisser. The first time I kissed him, I wasn't paying much attention to all that, but now for some unknown reason, I was. As we kiss, I have to steel myself to prevent from letting out a satisfied sigh. I would never give Tyler that satisfaction. A few seconds later, we broke the kiss. Tyler looked at me, his lips forming a smirk. Nice work, Samuels. I roll my eyes at him. This boy was making me roll my eyes a lot later. Come on, let's go inside the classroom. As I turn around, I notice that a few of the students around us were looking at us. A few of them had stopped what they were doing, their mouths hanging open. We definitely put on a show for them. At that moment, the bell for class rang. The students on the corridor started to move inside their classroom. I continued to walk inside my classroom, Tyler following behind me. In English class, Tyler sat beside me, which he complained about. He didn't like the idea of sitting at the front of the class. He wanted for me to sit at the back with him, but in the end, I won and he sat at the front. I felt satisfied by his discomfort. However, he was a good sport, because we kept up our fake dating for the entire class. At the end of the school day, I was walking down the hall to my locker, when someone stopped in front of me and blocked my way. I look up to see